I'd go live for a change and sort of change it up a little bit. So what I wanted to talk about tonight is basically two-stroke engines, obviously the 80cc motorized bike engines. But what it is that when it comes to obviously storing your motorized bike, whether it be in your house or whether it be in your garage or your shed or wherever it is that you store it, when it comes to putting petrol into these things, that obviously when you go to put the oil and you mix it, obviously when I used to obviously take my bikes out a long time ago, I used to literally put the two-stroke oil into my little jerry can and I used to shake it up, and obviously the oil would be submersed around the whole of the actual amount of petroleum that was in that jerry can at the time. And then I used to pour that mixture into my bike and then just do a straight run and then use all of that petrol in that tank in one sort of run, and then even on the way back it would be dispersed evenly. So what it is that if you're only doing very very short journeys on your motorized bike itself, and obviously I know for a fact that when you're doing short journeys, the second that you go to put your bike back into its storage location, the oil is going to sort of fall to the bottom of the tank itself. So it's not going to basically be submersed all around and then mixed in. So it's sort of like the lava lamp principle. So when you plug in a lava lamp, obviously the oil is right at the bottom, and then like the rest of the water or whatever, say wax or whatever in that tank is cooled down. It's not being heated up, so obviously it's going to be sort of split. It's sort of like the principle is if you get say a Coca-Cola bottle and you fill it halfway up with say water and then the other half up with oil, you'll notice that you can see the two differences between the two. So, for instance, you can see where the level is in the middle, and then you can see where it's completely separated. Or even if you get Coca Cola and mix it up with oil, you can see where they actually like separate itself. So, when you're leaving your bikes in storage, obviously the oil is going to be right down to the bottom, or it could be say up to the top, because obviously you can't see through these tanks. So when you go to start up the bike and then you're pouring your oil in there, obviously it's going to be going pretty fast, and then you're going to notice a big increment in speed. So you'll notice that instead of your bike plodding along, it actually picks up quite a substantial amount of speed, because you're putting the right amount of mixture in there, but obviously you're keeping the octane levels up with also the oil levels. And because it's submerged together and mixed together very well, then that's going to give you the better performance. But if you're literally leaving your bike and then you go to start your bike up and then you go to take it out, then there's going to be a bit of a problem with like slugginess. Like for instance, if you're going to take it up hills and whatever, it's going to be sort of struggling a little bit. But if you keep your mixtures pretty well, I'm not saying that obviously you need to drain out your tank every single time you go to take these things out, but I'm saying that maybe even if you shake like your bike a little bit to try and mix it up a little bit more, then go to start your bike up, it will be a little bit better. So for instance, instead of just like starting your bike up and then pedaling and then like letting the clutch out and then letting it sort of like go on tick over, even if for instance your engine is going as well, it's not going to be like, you can't rev it straight away. Don't, whatever you do, thrash the accelerator, just ease into it gently and gradually. And then say for instance if you take it say from here, like so at the start of your house or your flat or wherever it is to the end of the street and then back again, literally just get your bike running smoothly before you take it on a bit of a journey. Because I'm telling you, yeah, if you go to just thrash it everywhere, your engine is not going to perform as well as what it should be. So what you need to do is, obviously the reason why I'm saying this is because you need to look after your engines for one. And when it comes down to it is that if you don't genuinely look after your engines, they're going to break down so much faster. So when I'm talking about mixtures now, I'm talking about getting the amount of oil submerged around the piston and around the engine as much as you can when the engine is running. Because to be honest, if you don't put the right amount of oil mixture in your engine itself, it's going to be diabolical. You're going to end up with so many problems and then wondering, oh, what have I done wrong? I'm noticing a lot as well is that a lot of people on Facebook groups with these motorized bikes and everything, they keep saying about how their gaskets are blowing around their exhaust. That's why they end up with all these leaks all around their heads, and all the gaskets are completely failing. My honest best suggestion I can suggest for this is make your own gaskets, but instead of doing one gasket, try and sandwich two gaskets together. Sometimes when you do one gasket, it's not thick enough. Some people are even saying that you should use copper gaskets because they're thinner, and obviously the gauge of the metal is better to bite into when you're bolting the metals together. My honest opinion, yeah, if you really really want to get a brilliant seal, don't use like all these like weird gasket sealants and all this rubbish. The best thing to do is you need to get yourself a good straight edge, a metal straight edge, so as it tells you whether the plane of like or the face of the metal is actually completely flat. If it's like all wobbly and bumpy like this, yeah, nothing's gonna seal properly. It's not. Like think logically, yeah. If you've got something that's completely like concave, and then you've got something else that's concaved as well, and you try and sandwich them together, you're going to end up with gaps everywhere. The best thing to do is literally take the head off of the piston and everything, yeah. So as you've got that to work with, and then where you see the enclosure, where obviously you've got the exhaust that goes up to it, even your exhaust as well. Take your exhaust off and where the exhaust bolts onto, yeah. Get yourself a straight edge piece of like a metal, literally even an angle iron, anything that's dead straight, and then run it across them planes. If you see any problems or any faults with that, you need to file it flat, file it completely flat, and keep going over it over and over and over again until it's completely precise. Because the second that you think that you're going to obviously put, say, one gasket or two gaskets or whatever, and it's going to leak and end up with all these problems, then you're not going to accomplish anything. You're just going to constantly keep going back to these things. So that's like why for instance, that I've managed to take the head off of the bike and obviously to take the exhaust off, and I have gone over it with a straight edge, as straight as I can it can possibly be. So both faces are completely straight. Then there's not one dent, no divots, no like sort of problems in that area whatsoever. It's completely flat on both faces. Then I've got myself a thick gasket material, very very thick gasket material, and I've used my actual like proper bolts to bolt this thing into place. I haven't used any sealant, anything like that. And you know what? Not one tiny little drip of oil, not one. That was the problem with a lot of these like old school Harley Davidsons and Greaves Villiers engines, and like especially like a Rudge like, or a Bruff Superior old school motorbikes from the 60s, like a late 50s and like early 60s motorbikes. They leaked oil like mad because a lot of the castings for the engine were just rough casts. Same with these motorized bike engines, it's just rough casted aluminium, and they're not perfect. They've just come out of a factory. Yeah, they haven't been machined very well, but obviously, like they still do perform reasonably well. But the only trouble is they're going to end up leaking oil everywhere, even all over the head, all over your clothes, your legs, everywhere, because it's backfiring through them tiny little gaps all over to your engine, to your trousers, to everywhere that you've got this thing. So a lot of other people think that, oh yeah, if I just say tighten it up with a couple of nuts and bolts and I put this gasket sealant round there, and no, like you're just cutting corners. And obviously when it comes to things like that, what you need to do is you need to actually justify what the purpose of this project is. And if it's like you want to be able to make something that's going to be physically and obviously look better, yeah, and you don't want problems that are going to come ahead, the best thing to do is literally just take your time, have a good think. Yeah, seriously, because you don't want something that's going to run for like a year and whatever and then completely let you down. Yes, you can make other upgrades, but you can make it better than it was machined and manufactured in the first place. So you can do certain improvements. That's why I'm trying to help people out there. Okay, so whatever you've got, yeah, so you lined up on your engine, even for instance to your carburetor, yeah, your carburetor. I remember I used to store my motorized bikes in the living room, and every time I used to ride them, I used to bring them back and put them in the living room. The amount of headaches that I used to get because the carburetors they leak, yeah, fumes, like oh, it was bad. Seriously, my house was full up with fumes. It was a very very bad situation. So what I managed to do is obviously change my carburetor so it didn't stink. But another thing that you can do is that you can get a small plastic zip tie bag, yeah, and then you can put it over your carburetor if you're really into storing it within your house. Put a small little plastic bag over your carburetor, and then you can literally zip tie it. And then that, I mean, you can buy a bag full of zip ties for like $1 or £1. So you can literally zip tie it every single time, and it takes a second just to cut it off and then get your bike ready, and then obviously turn it back on. So there are loads of different things that you can do if you want to store it in the house or even store it outside or store it in a shed or whatever. There's loads of little different tips, especially like when it comes to your tire pressure. You need to check that obviously, but when it comes to simple things like sealing your gaskets and obviously like your two-stroke mix and other little things like that, it's just common sense. That's all it is. So I thought that I would basically give you guys a few rundown of a few ideas to just help you out. It's basic common sense. Yeah, that's all it is. So, like I said, when it comes to sealing stuff, just make sure that your faces are completely flat before you even think about, say, like putting it like 1,000 gaskets. Yeah, obviously I'm being silly now, but you can sort of do things to make like a beneficial thing to help you out. That's what it's about. Yeah, and I'm just passing down my knowledge about motor. I've been working with motorbikes since I was 4, 5, and I remember like I learned how to wheelie when I was 6. Like I used to do loads of different cool things on motorbikes, but the amount of tips and tricks that I've picked up over the past, I'm just passing on to everybody else that's out there that obviously wants to watch these videos. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't have to, but I feel as though I want to share my experiences and my tips and my tricks with other people, so as it just helps them out. But the amount of people that obviously follow me and they watch and then they learn themselves, they're very like they've got a great sense of accomplishment, so they've actually feel like they've done something and achieved something. But like I said, even when I was doing my electrical like course in the college as well, and I'm basically fully qualified as an electrician now, so I'm very happy with what I've got. But there was even some elements that I thought that I knew but I didn't. It was like a hit or miss situation, and there was other things that I actually got a distinction in. So because I was very educated in a certain different aspects of that like different subject, I was very happy. But like I said, it was a total learning like thing for me, and I learned other things. So because I was willing to take that information in, like I said, all the tips and advice and tricks that I've been teaching people on my videos and stuff, you don't have to do it. It's completely up to you. It's at your discretion. So like I said, this is just a few little ideas that might help everybody in the future. But because I haven't been on like YouTube for a very long time, because obviously I'm with my little boy all day long as well and all night long, it's like literally it's so knackering and tiring. But I thought I've got a few minutes spare. It's been a very long time, so I thought I'm just gonna come online and say hello to everybody that's out there. And obviously, if anybody wanted to like say ask me a few questions, just whack them in the comments below. Please remember, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel, because I've got tons of videos that obviously will help out, and just share them around with as many of your friends and family members and whatsoever. And I don't just make videos about motorized bikes, also I make videos about old classic cars, especially the ones that I have in the garage. And also I'll make videos about literally what like education is very important. I've got loads of different videos on education, what I've managed to accomplish, what you can actually accomplish as well. You can get educated for free, it's up to you. So just follow me like literally as much as you can on YouTube, and obviously ask me a few questions and whatever, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But I just wanted to say a big thanks for everybody that supported me along the way so far, and I wanted to say thanks to everybody for obviously like waiting for me to upload another video. So I just wish you all the best and have a lovely night and or a day wherever you are, and just take care. Be safe out there, all right? Take care, people.